Hey. It's Swifty Baps. Good to see you all again. I hope you are all breathing and doing well and having a wonderful time during this unbelievably terrible time. It's a beautiful day outside, but I imagine 95% of us won't be getting to experience it. So this pandemic has effectively grinded the music industry from a live perspective to a complete standstill, obviously with a lot of bands either cancelling tours or postponing tours, with no actual details on when these shows will again take place. But that kind of gets me into this perception of, releasing albums will probably still go ahead as planned. Although I can see physical releases probably being delayed, I can't really see them putting their albums out on Spotify as being delayed, because, that's all digital, unless everybody that works at their distributors stops working there. We'll see. So, before me, I have 6 albums that I'm super excited for this year. Some have no details about them, and I'll probably start with those. And some of them have all the details that you could possibly want. So, without further ado, here is Swifty Baps' top 6, in no particular order, 2020 albums releasing. Hopefully. 3, 2, 1, go. We're going to get straight into it with Good Tiger, with hopefully, fingers crossed, album number 3. We haven't seen a new Good Tiger record since 2018's We Will All Be Gone, which was an incredible sophomore album from them. I loved every minute of it, and I'm really excited to see what they come out with. The reason that this starts off the list is because there is no information about this except for a handful of statements from the band members themselves. When everyone was doing their Spotify Wrapped for the year, they were saying their thank yous and basically saying they were planning on making new music in 2020. Whether that goes ahead, obviously, is anybody's guess. I say there's no footage of them recording. There's no nothing. It's just, as I say, they've said that they are releasing music this year. And I really hope that's true. Good Tiger are one of my favourite bands. They've been a huge influence on me as a player, as a writer. So, yeah, pretty stoked to see what they come out with this year, if they come out with anything at all. But fingers crossed. Next up, we have Deftones with their 9th album. It's been about, I think 2016 was when Gore dropped. And it's fair to say that that album was not received as highly as I think some people would have liked. I really liked it, although many people have argued that it's arguably one of their worst albums. I said arguably, I think, too many times there. You'll get over it, I'm sure. This is actually a big shame, because obviously Koino Yokin, the album that came before that, is, in my personal opinion, one of the best Deftones albums. So I really hope we're going to get something more on those lines. Reports about this album, again, are vague. There's no release date yet. However, the last thing I heard was that it was in the mixing stage. But they have basically confirmed that they have recorded an album. One thing that I can say for this is that I've read that Chino Moreno has taken sort of like a back seat in the songwriting process to allow Stephen Carpenter to take a bit more of a lead role. It was well documented when Gore released that Stephen Carpenter didn't actually really like the album, and he said he didn't have much of an input on it. So it's going to be really cool to see what he does for this album, as well as interesting to see how he uses the new 9-string that was made for him for this record. Be interested to see how he sort of implements it into his playing. Stephen Carpenter's always had a very interesting style. He's not the most technical player, but he always finds really sort of creative ways to sort of utilize the entire sort of range that he has, rather than just doing the usual chugging on the low string. Although he does a lot of that as well. There's no problem with that. But yeah, super excited for this album. Can't wait to hear something off of it. It's going to be amazing. Coming in next is arguably the album that I am most excited for this year. Hands down. No question. And it is the Acacia Strain with their 9th studio album. Over the last 6 months, we have been spoilt rotten by the Acacia Strain. Back on Boxing Day, they were able to snag Album of the Year from me with the amazing, kind of more of an EP than an actual album, but the nevertheless amazing It Comes in Waves. This was a complete breath of fresh air for the band, bringing in this, really bringing to the forefront this doom sound that they've been experimenting with since Coma Witch. It was just perfect, but at the same time, it was almost like a masterclass in everything they'd done from Continent up till then. It's there were so many little different like little moments where you could hear like the consonant influence and like the Wormwood influence and like even like a tiny little bit of Death Is the Only Mortal in there, which kind of feels like an album they don't really pay a lot of attention to anymore for whatever reason. But yeah, this album has been confirmed that it exists. However, there is no other information other than that. We have received a single under the title of D. Whether that is related to the album or not, I think is left to be speculated. I think it's fine either way. My only concern about this record is if they plan on releasing it sort of bit by bit, much as they have done with D. This could mean that D is actually the start of the album, and they're going to very slowly but surely keep releasing songs from it. That's kind of fine. I think singles are good, but I'd like to see sort of a full release at the end. But as I say, it's all speculation at the moment. There's no information based on it. One other thing that should be mentioned is they spoke about making a double album last year, but this was before It Comes in Waves dropped, so I can't tell if they mean, oh, our next album will be a double album, or if they recorded It Comes in Waves and this album, and that now these are, you know, two separate things. But if it is a double album, amazing. If it's not, still amazing. Super excited for this. They recently broke my heart, obviously, with bands having to cancel left, right, and centre. I was very excited to see them for the first time in 5 years, and they had to cancel. But, you know, you get it. And I think this album is going to be a perfect substitute for those who feel like they really didn't get a chance to catch them this year. And fingers crossed, touch wood, they'll be back later. Next up, it's the first album on this list with an actual release date. And it is Enter Shikari with Nothing Is True and Everything Is Possible, which is a bit of a mouthful. So, with this album, they've released 2 songs from it so far, which is The Dreamers Hotel and The King. The Dreamers Hotel, I think, is an amazing song, and I think it's going to be one of those songs that stays in their set list for years to come. I think it's going to be like one that they bop out every tour, just like, because, you know, it's so energetic. The King, I wasn't particularly sold on, but, you know, you can't love every single song, realistically. But what I will say about this album is that it is shaping up to be an amazing one. They've been speaking about kind of what it's likened to, and people have stated that it's meant to be some sort of mix between Common Dreads and a Flash Flood Colour. And that's a decent combo. That's a decent combo of albums to sort of go on. It definitely feels like they're going, I don't want to say back to their heavier roots, because then it brings up that argument about, like, when Enter Shikari was heavy and stuff like that. And they've kind of always had that vibe. But it definitely does seem to be a step away from what they were doing on The Spark. The Spark was very much like it had very little to no heaviness on it at all. It felt way more of like I don't want to say a poppy record, but I guess if you want to give it that term, then yeah, sure, it's a poppy record. But yeah, I'm excited to see what they do with it. Not particularly stoked on the artwork. It's not their best, but, you know, at the end of the day, you know, life is nothing if you don't experiment with it. Excuse me, I have to keep swallowing. I'm not sick, I promise. Next up, it is arguably the most controversial of the albums on here, for the people that know me and that will probably watch this. But it's the 1975 with Notes on a Conditional Form, which is releasing on the 24th of April at present. The reason that I say at present is because there are rumours circulating that apparently it's going to be delayed again, but so far no official statements have been made, and according to their website, the release date is still the 24th of April. This album was announced alongside their last album. It was kind of considered like a dual thing, so you had A Brief Inquiry into Online Relationships, and then we were going to receive Notes on a Conditional Form. This was announced, as I say, like way back when they first announced the last album. So I was pretty excited for it. I think A Brief Inquiry into Online Relationships is a amazing album. I'm just going to say Online Relationships from now on if I have to say anything more, because it's just too long and I keep stumbling. But yeah, Online Relationships was an amazing album, so I was kind of hoping that this album was going to be the same. However, when the first 2 singles dropped, i.e. the 1975 song, i.e. the new intro for the album, and People, I wasn't particularly enamored with what I saw. I think the message behind both is wonderful, and I think that it's important that, you know, people are aware of these facts and aware of these issues. But I never really felt like, and I still don't really think that People is a particularly good song. I arguably would say it's one of the worst 1975 songs to date. But then, you know, stuff started to come out later on, like A Frail State of Mind is a pretty good song. Again, wasn't completely sold on the album. Then it was the Me and You Together song, and what a banger that is. The Birthday Party, again, another really good song, but mainly it is, of course, If You're Too Shy. Like, I am so excited for that single to drop so we can have, like, a full, like, actual album version to listen to, because even though a lot of the live videos are really good because their live sound is phenomenal, you know, I'm just excited to hear sort of how it differs between live and the album version. But yeah, they completely changed my opinion on what I thought this album was going to be like. You know, they were talking about how, you know, this album was going to be different from Online Relationships, and so far it does really seem that way. Could you argue the 22 songs is a bit much? Yeah, maybe. But, you know, I'm willing to be proven wrong. Hey. But yeah, I am excited to see this album come out. I'm excited to get a copy. I just like this band. I think they're really good. And if you don't, that's fine. But, you know, that's it. Yeah, that's all I got, really. And finally, topping off this list is Dance Gavin Dance with Afterburner, also releasing on the 24th of April. It feels like, at this point, Dance Gavin Dance can do no wrong. Well, that is unless you are a fan of Dance Gavin Dance, in which case you're just going to indict them with rumours that they're breaking up, and also make constant comments about how you wish Kurt was back in the band and not Tillian, which I think is, like, super lame of you. But, you know, I digress. So far, the two things that we have heard off of Afterburner, you know, again, unless you're one of these trash fans and you've listened to the leaks, in which case, very naughty. But yeah, so far, we've heard the song Prisoner and we've heard the song Strawberry's Wake, and both songs have been monumental bangers. I'm so stoked for this album. I think this is going to be one of the better ones they've done in the last couple of years. Obviously, I personally think they've been on a roll since Instant Gratification. Like, these last three they've done with Tillian. Well, I say the last four because obviously Acceptance Speech came before that. But this, like, as a triple, as like a 3-album thing, like Instant Gratification, Mothership, and Artificial Selection, they have killed it every single time. They always seem to add some sort of new flavour to the way they've done things. And I am really excited to see what's on this next record. As I say, not much information apart from obviously the release date and the album artwork and basically everything you need, and the millions of bundles and the 5-pack of vinyls that you can buy and stuff like that. God, they churn out a lot of vinyls. Like, arguably more so than most people. But yeah, I'm just super stoked for this album, and I think it's going to be an amazing one. And hopefully, fingers crossed, we actually get a proper UK tour, because at the moment they're only meant to be doing Slam Dunk, and that's not really what I want. But yeah, there you go. Afterburner, Dance Gavin Dance, gonna be sick. Can't wait. So that was 6 albums that I think are going to absolutely crush 2020. This isn't obviously every album that's coming out this year. I'm sure that once this goes out, I'm going to realise there was like 4 more that I was really excited for. But these were just the ones that I could think of off the top of my head, that have some sort of substance to them and are meant to be existing. But yeah, why don't you pop into the comments and tell me what your favourite album is that you're hoping to see this year, or one that you're the most excited for. Right, I'm going to go shower and bleach and, you know, keep myself as squeaky clean as I possibly can. Thank you so much, as always, for joining me, and I hope to see you again soon.